Hello and welcome to this data platform course where we'll focus on building a data platform for streaming data and also working with batch data. This will be a very interesting course, and I'm Kokshan Yang, your instructor for this course. In this course, we'll go into several technologies, including Python, of course, and then Docker for making containers, and we'll come into Kafka for streaming, Postgres for storing the data, and MongoDB for NoSQL. Then we'll also serve a live dashboard in real data. So this will be super interesting. We'll also work a lot with version control, at least for the students enrolled in this course. So they will be working with Git and GitHub in teams. Moving on to the keynote, we have here Introduction to Building a Modern Data Platform for Streaming Data. Let's start with an example here. We have an example, a robotic arm for welding. It needs temperature monitoring. It's in a factory, an industry where you need to weld for building car parts. When it's welding, the temperature needs to be in certain ranges, because if you have too high temperature, something will melt, or the robotic arm will not function for a very long time. If you have too low temperature, the welding process is not correct. So temperature monitoring in real time is important, because if something gets stuck in the production line, there might cost a lot of money, right? So it requires temperature within certain ranges. And the temperature, it's measured with a temperature sensor. And this is sent to your data platform. And in the data platform, you need to process it somehow, right? And as this is sent in real time, this is considered streaming data. Note that the data is sent in real time. It's streaming data. In contrast, there's also possibility to send data as batches, and batches means, for example, we send data once per day or once per week, etc. And that is good for different types of applications. For example, some kind of reporting. But we'll come back, we'll go into streaming and batching and what the differences are. So streaming data versus batch data processing. So here we have the definitions, is that the streaming, we are in real-time space, so real-time or near real-time processing. While in batch, the data is stored and processed in batches at scheduled intervals. And the latency, it means how long time you need to wait for it. In streaming, it's usually talking about milliseconds or seconds. Then you're in the streaming realm, while in the batches, it's usually higher latency, so it could be minutes to days and weeks and even months. For example, you want to take data once per month or once per year if you want to use that for backup or other reason. And the data sizes, usually it's in streaming, it's smaller chunks, but with high frequencies. So when you come into big data terminology, usually you have high volume, you have high velocity, and you have high variety. But in streaming, we talk about smaller chunks, but high frequency, right? And then in batch, we're talking about usually larger volumes of data, and it's accumulated over time. For example, you send the data once per day, then it has accumulated during the day, right? And for use cases, we have in streaming, we have real-time dashboards, fraud detection, IoT, anomaly detection. So a lot of things that are time sensitive, you can see. While in batch, you have usually, it could be like sales reports, data warehousing, business intelligence dashboards, and periodic backups. So that's in batch processing. And when it comes to complexity, in streaming, it's usually higher due to real time, while it's usually lower complexity. And talking about the costs, streaming is usually higher, while batch is usually lower. But this is generalizations. So there's always, depending on the situations, technologies you choose, how you implement them, and if you have monitoring in place. But which should you choose, streaming or batch? It depends really on the business requirements. And also, it's possible to mix between streaming and batch. Here. So usually people might say, yeah, we want to have the data in real time. We want to see the dashboard and the reports in real time. That is our requirement. But then you should ask back to the stakeholders if it really is this requirement and what the implications might be, because streaming is more complex than batch in general, and also may cost more, etc. So this is very important when you consider which one to choose. So moving on, we will see how when we have the source data, it comes from somewhere, for example, IoT, right? For example, the welding robotic arm, and it's processed in the data platform. So we have data. For example, here we have different sensors, we have a web API, and these different data sources. It comes into the data platform. And in the data platform, we do different type of processing. And then afterwards, we serve the dashboard. We can serve ML models, machine learning models. So this part here is usually called extract load. And this is transform. It could also be extract, transform, and load. So ETL versus ELT, but we'll come back to that later on in the lectures. And then we're serving the dashboards or the ML model or AI model, maybe people usually say nowadays. So the whole pipeline, it could also be considered the data platform. So we could actually consider everything here as the data platform, or you could just consider this part as the data platform. So different organizations use different terminologies, just to note that. So in the data platform, we will take a look at what is the data platform now. It's a set of technologies to collect, store, process, and analyze and deliver the data. You manage data workflows in the platform. So you support data-driven decision-making. So the platform is used so that you can answer questions based on data, right? So the core functionality of the data platforms, you have ingestion from source. You have several sources, as we saw before. They need to be ingested into the data platform. The storage needs to somewhere, for example, a database, a data warehouse, etc. It processes the data, cleans the data, and make it ready for serving the downstream applications. You have analytics here to extract insights. You visualize the data in dashboards or reports. And you also have something called data governance. It means data quality, security, and compliance. It's important to keep the data safe and keep the privacy. In data platform, you talk a lot about data integration between several technologies. You need to move the data between different systems, and it should be done seamlessly. It should fit together, right? And there's something called ETL and ELT, as we saw before, extract, transform, load, or extract, load, transform. In data platforms, we have different, we could have batch processing, we could have streaming. Yes. With this, I would like to thank you for watching this introduction video on this data platform course. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.